Welcome everyone to our first episode of the What's Appening Podcast. In this season, we're interviewing GPT creators, and What's Happening is brought to you by 3Advance, the development team for startups. For in this episode, we want to talk about why we did this podcast. And for that, I want to bring in my co-host, Paul Murphy, the CEO of 3Advance. Paul, how are you?
I'm doing good, Raf. I'm excited to talk about this.
Awesome. Well, before we dive into why we did this podcast, would you like to give the people a little bit of context of who you are?
Cool. Well, the story interlocks pretty well, Raf. I'll tell you a little bit about 3Advance first. 3Advance is owned by myself and my partner, Darren Gibney. We've been on 3Advance for almost 14 years, if you would believe it. We started 3Advance back in 2010, just as the App Store had opened. And, not similar to right now, Raf, when the GPT store opened, the App Store opened. A lot of people jumped in, tried to start making apps. Others were afraid of mobile. Some were cynical of it. And, pretty much it just spoke to what Darren and I really believed in. And that was like, moving with the tide and trying new things and reinventing ourselves. And 3Advance was an opportunity for us to reinvent ourselves and start a business at the time. And, with the GPT store, I see a whole new opportunity for reinvention all over again.
Exactly. So that's a little bit about 3Advance. And is there something that you want to share about yourself with the people?
Cool. Yeah, well, just, what I love to do is create apps. That's how I started my career many years ago. We didn't call them apps. When the App Store started and the iPhone arrived and we started making mobile apps and the concept of mobile first appeared, I really gravitated towards it, Raf, and really spoke to me in terms of like a minimal viable product. You only have a certain real estate on a phone. You have limitations. The game of constraints is often a really, really fun and interesting and productive game to play. And mobile first was a concept that encouraged you to distill all of the ideas and features and possible product ideas to one small focused product. And minimal viable means, what's viable, what's the smallest version of that product that's viable in order to create a business. Now, there's different sort of takes on an MVP, but that's how I see it. And then, Raf, as I say, linking in with the GPT store, and the reason why we're here, I feel like the GPT store and GPTs, custom GPTs in general, they embody the concept of MVP. Not only can you create a really powerful feature mini product, prove a concept, but it's not just the techies that can do this. It's the everyday ordinary Joe can hop on there, speak in English language, like the OpenAI, the GPTs are set up to do. And folks, normal people can create these MVPs, can prototype a new concept, can try out a new idea and see if there's traction. And again, that's really what spoke to Darren and I about the GPT store. And it's the reason why, it's quite frankly, it's the reason why we started this podcast.
No, very cool. Now, this is question off script, and these are some of the best questions that come to mind as we're having a conversation. So Paul doesn't even know I'm going to ask him this question, but Paul, you're Irish. Tell us a little bit more about that.
All right, Raf. So I arrived here in 2004. So yeah, I'm coming on 20 years over here, Raf. Came over here knowing nobody, straight out of college, had no idea how to find a job, dug deep. I just come out of an engineering degree, had no idea how to find a job in an engineering company, but I knew how to do websites. So I hopped on Craigslist and found a job, wrote my own training program so that job could hire me and allow me to learn my trade. And from there, I built up my own career. And 3Advance was born not just out of the App Store opening, but I got my green card, and 2 weeks later, I had quit it and I was starting a business. And this as well, Raf, being an immigrant. Immigrants get it done, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I also came to the United States about 20 years ago, 21 years to be exact. And we came around the same time. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, what excited me most, Raf, when I got here, especially in Ireland at the time, things were slow moving. Now, things are certainly changed now, but things were slow moving and the appetite for entrepreneurship didn't exist. When I got to America, I felt like there was just a buzz, and especially around DC where we're located, there wasn't a buzz and excitement. And, as I got more into my, practicing my craft and started networking, I really wanted to, connect with the community. And 3Advance was another opportunity for me to really double down on that. And, since then, 3Advance, like we've, we founded and set up the DC Sports Tech Meetup Group. We have sponsored the DC Startup Week. We've really put an effort into building up the community here. And it's fantastic. It really is. Like DC has got a huge bustling community that gave me the opportunity to start a business back in 2010, and then obviously help grow it. And we've got, that's where our roots are. We're in DC. You're over the other side of the country. We have folks in Austin. Right now we're all over, but our heart is definitely stuck in DC.
Yeah, well said. Never underestimate how hardworking an immigrant can be and the motivation.
Right on. And Darren as well. Darren is a fellow Irishman from Northern Ireland, and definitely there is a drive with a lot of immigrants that come to this country. There is a drive and an excitement and an appreciation for the environment that we're given and we're provided here. And a lot of us, like, we don't want to miss the opportunity. We feel like driven, and we're excited by this spirit of entrepreneurship. And that's almost, but I don't know if I would have ever started a business in Ireland. I don't know if that would have happened, but certainly since coming here and getting the opportunity, I don't take it for granted, and I certainly haven't looked back.
Nah, I share the sentiment 100%. I'm from Argentina, and it would be nearly impossible to start a business over there. I've sold a company, a mobile app before, and I've been involved in different projects. And I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to be in the USA. I know it's not perfect for everyone listening. We all know that, but I feel like it's fantastic in comparison to where I came from. And I'm going to make the most out of the opportunity. And
Absolutely.
talking about opportunities, we've got the ChatGPT store from OpenAI. And all these developers from all around the world are launching these GPTs without knowing necessarily how to program. They're doing it in plain English. So tell us more about why exactly are we so excited about creating a podcast, at least season 1, featuring the founders, the creators behind these GPTs?
I love this question, and I love how you phrased that question, Raf. Ultimately, we see this huge wave of entrepreneurs that are in the GPT store. It is normal people like you, like me, literally us. I used to be a developer, but my coding skills are rusty, to say the least. But it doesn't stop me from creating a GPT. And that is what excites me about the GPT store. There are normal people, there are entrepreneurs that have aspirations to be technical entrepreneurs, to be technical people, to create technical technology businesses. And generative AI is empowering these people. And 3Advance, listen, 3Advance been around since 2010, and our focus has been on the unexpected entrepreneur. A lot of our clients are from across the country. A lot of them come from diverse backgrounds, come from situations where you would not expect an entrepreneur to arrive from, and they are some of our biggest successes, and some of the things that really have given me satisfaction out of doing this job the last 14 years. But in the GPT store, this is what we're seeing. We're seeing normal people without technical skills create mini products. And that's the beauty of the GPT store. So we can look at the GPT store where there are millions, literally millions of GPTs created by the entrepreneurs of tomorrow. And I love that. And I want to meet the entrepreneurs of tomorrow. I want to talk with these GPT creators. I want to hear their story. I want to get into their GPTs. I want to see how they're growing the audience, how they're going to monetize it, what they're going to do next. I'm so excited to talk to folks, and I think it's going to be an adventure over the next few months, just interviewing, learning, just hearing the stories, and hopefully sharing it with whoever wants to join in.
Exactly. So for the audience, Paul and I are going to be the co-hosts, and we're going to be interviewing a variety of different GPT creators from the GPT store. And if you came to this episode, it's probably because I'm going to be joining a bunch of communities for GPT creators and inviting people to listen in on this. So who is the ideal listener for this podcast?
I think there's a few, Raf. The first, I would say, is just the everyday average person who aspires to be an entrepreneur and is interested in generative AI. And the first step is like, head on over and start playing with OpenAI. But then, click that create button and start trying to create a GPT yourself. So that it starts with those that are interested enough, that heard enough about generative AI, have played with ChatGPT and want to get their hands dirty. So that's certainly a segment. But as well as that, it's other GPT creators out there. It's giving them a voice, understanding what other creators are going through, how they may have monetized lessons, both from a technical aspect, but also from a business product growth mindset as well. So I would say they're certainly a target. And then it's entrepreneurs that maybe are successful in another business life that are looking over the wall of this generative AI thing, looking at ChatGPT and the custom GPTs and wondering, is there any piece of this for me? So there is a wide range there, but it's overall as those that are interested enough in new things that want to maybe get their hands dirty in the future.
Exactly. So I appreciate full transparency, and I think that business is the long game. So do people right, do the best you can, and then things in the long run, they'll all come back to you and we can all help each other out. So what's in it for 3Advance for doing this podcast?
I talked about making apps, and that's my passion. We've got a team of 20 people, as I say, spread across. We're all online, but one thing we share is a passion for creating great products. And we look at the GPT store and we're thinking some of these GPTs are more than just fun features. Some of these could be actual monetized products, whether it's a mobile app in the App Store, a website, whether it's maybe it's a integration with WhatsApp or Slack. There's a myriad of things here. And we want to be the company that leads. We've built GPTs. We're already running R&D AI prototyping sprints in order to get folks from idea to concept, to proof of concept. And so we're looking at these GPTs and thinking, are some of these GPTs potentially very successful products? And that's where we come in. That's our skill set. That's our expertise. We're product developers. We're app developers. We're creators. We're designers. We can take some of these ideas and actually create a business from them. And that excites me more than anything else.
Exactly. So we want to educate the audiences, provide value. And also in the meantime, because it does take a lot of effort to run a podcast behind the scenes, we have to orchestrate a lot of tasks, edit the videos, publish in the right places, pay the subscriptions for the software to be able to source everything. And so what's in it for us for 3Advance would be that hopefully someday, somewhere, a GPT creator knows someone or they themselves would be interested in taking that next step in, like Paul said, taking that GPT and maybe turning into a business. And we're betting on this. We have a hypothesis that some of you out there would be interested in that. And we're going to be very casually having these conversations, getting to know the people behind them, learning from them. And in the meantime, if we can generate business, that'll be great. Did I get that right?
You got that right on. And, on our next show, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the GPTs that we've created internally. And some of those could actually potentially be turned into products. And if not a product, really have huge impact. So I'm really excited, Raf, when we get together next, because I'm going to give you a little insight into some of the things that we built internally to give you an idea of what potentially could and how could a GPT migrate from this text-based, chat GPT experience to a fully fledged product that actually makes a difference.
Awesome. So wherever you're listening, make sure you subscribe, you like this, because otherwise it may be the last time you hear from us. In the link in the description below, you're going to find 2 links. One, to subscribe to our newsletter that we've been running for 3 years. It's called the What's Appening newsletter. And another link is going to be to apply to become a guest on the podcast. So Paul, is there anything that I haven't asked you that I should have asked you before we end this episode?
I don't think so. I would want to give one more plug for the Irish diaspora and the folks back home. Since I have left, things have come on leaps and bounds, and the startup community in Ireland right now is thriving, even to the point, Raphael, where I'm part of a fund, Digital Irish Venture Fund, that's investing in Irish startups that are coming to the United States. So it's incredible for me to be able to sort of, give back and hopefully help out some startups, but also it is testament to all the things that have happened over the last 20 years since I have left. The world is catching up, and that's again why we got to keep on driving forward ourselves.
That's awesome. So if you're an Irish startup, you know who you can contact. All right. Well, this is Rafael Testai, Paul Murphy. Until next time.